What's good, folks? That was an amazing, absolutely amazing um, session we just did with Marvin Mumford and Matt McCoy. I am back again. I am John Mike, the director of Loop Gospel, the gospel division of Loop Community, and we're going to be live pretty much throughout the day today, just sharing with you guys and about the different situations that we've been having going on. But I want to kind of switch gears a little bit for those who have been kind of hanging with us today. You've heard some of the stories and stuff that, some of the other guests and stuff that we've had on. And I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and actually bring on some of our producers for Loop Community, because there are so many producers, so many great producers on our site that create tracks, because tracks are the lifeblood of what we do as the site, as Loop Community. The tracks are the lifeblood. So I wanted to highlight some of our gospel producers. So I'm going to be bringing on one of our guys, Aaron Daniels. Aaron, I see you in here, but I cannot add you in. I think you have to send a request. Oh, wait a minute, I think I see here. Hold on. I see here. Okay, I'm gonna add you in. We will wait for Aaron to jump on and let Aaron share his story.
Yo,
Aaron,
yo, what's up, John?
what's going on with you, sir?
Not much, man.
Yes,
Yourself?
sir. I'm great, man. I'm great, man. I appreciate you coming on live with us, man, and taking some time out of your schedule to come on here and share with us.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I was just telling the people that were coming on that we, at Loop Community and on Loop Gospel specifically, what we do, um, tracks are the lifeblood of what we do and
Yeah,
what
man.
we offer to the community. And so we have so many great producers that you see their names, you use their tracks on Sundays, on Wednesdays, at rehearsals, for
Yeah.
shows, for concerts, but you've never, I don't think we haven't done this in a public light where we actually highlight some of our creators and some of our producers and stuff on the site. So I wanted to kind of bring some of our guys on and really let you guys
Dope,
share your
man.
stories, and then of course talk about some of the stuff that's going on in our particular climate. So
Yeah.
I wanted to start out, let you introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from, a little bit about yourself, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So, yep, Aaron Daniels. I am 26. Born here in Denver, Colorado. I was raised in Florida, but I've been in Denver most of my life. Um, Grew up in ministry. My parents were
Mm,
pastors, Uh, always had music. My grandfather instilled a lot of that in me, and a lot of my family's been musical. And
hmm
yeah, went to school, graduated from University of Colorado, Denver, studying recording arts and
hmm
piano. Yeah, so it's a little bit about me.
It's amazing, man. And for those of you who don't know, Aaron is an amazing, just multi-instrumentalist. I mean, the guy plays keys, he plays drums, he plays guitar.
Thanks, man.
I done seen him with a sax in his hand. He sings, plays ukulele. I mean, every
Yikes.
time you do a lot,
Yikes.
man. You do it all well, and I think that's what makes you a great contribution to our our community. So one of the things I wanted to throw at you and really talk about, because I think one of the things that you're doing that's really really awesome, that kind of plays into us creating an environment, a community of cohesiveness
Yeah.
amongst all of Loop community, is the stuff you've been doing with Bind the Gap.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said
yeah.
that right, with Bind the Gap. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. So Aaron has his own set of tracks that are like gospel tracks that are basically gospel centric and gospel focused. But as of late, in the last, I think what this year, I think you started with the beginning of the year
Yeah,
doing
this past year.
Bind the Gap. And so I think that's absolutely amazing. And you told me the story about it, but I don't think the people have heard at large have heard your vision and the reason why you decided to do Bind the Gap. In terms of that, because you've been taking like CCM songs and kind of putting a gospel flip on
A
them
little
and
stank
making them
on them.
a little stank on it.
They're taking it and putting some really good, and the track sounds so amazing, and they fit in the multicultural, um, multi ethnicity environment.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I want you to share your heart behind it because you shared it with me before. But I don't think the people, they see the name, they've heard the tracks, but I don't think they know your heart behind it.
yeah, man, that's so awesome. Yeah, so um, for me, the idea all sparked. It was actually on my honeymoon, and we were in London, and I had seen, like there's a thing. It's
Hmm.
called mind the gap. It's like, please, you hear
Okay,
over the intercom, it says, please mind the gap. The doors are closing, right? And I
interesting.
just that for some reason something clicked in my head and said bind the gap instead, and
Mm,
and I started thinking about like the gaps in terms of like the genres of music that I find myself doing a lot of, right? Because we do
okay,
gospel,
yeah,
gospel production, whether it be for loop or outside of it, and you see that divided line.
yeah.
Um, and there are positives, right? There's certain things about gospel music that are just like, whoa, like that's my heart.
Hmm.
And then there are also things about CCM that's like, whoa, that's my heart. But finding a way to be able to merge that gap,
Hmm.
because even at times I think
I love it.
we separate it,
Yeah.
even if it's not intentional. Like
Hmm.
we separate the genres when it's all a form of worship. And
Absolutely.
it's kind of my heart behind it is to be able to bring and merge the aspects of gospel music and CCM literally for the glory of God. Like
Yeah.
bringing those two areas together, that sound, because it's a different
Hmm.
sound,
It is.
um that that can be cohesive for both environments.
I think it's amazing, man. I mean, they sound great, and I think that's needed in this current climate because we there's been a lot of conversation today, um, the needed conversation, and like I said, Matt and Marvin had an amazing conversation. Just ended a few minutes ago, and I think that
Yeah,
was what they covered a lot of ground. They hit a lot of complex issues. Even me and Matt in our session this morning, we hit a lot of complex stuff.
yeah,
But I think it falls in us after we've had conversation. Implementation is the next
yes,
step and the next
always.
phase. So I think what you're doing is a great way that falls into the implementation. So you're doing something that's bringing both sides together. That I think that's amazing. I just think that's really dope. That you're
Thank you,
pulling that
man.
together. So what are some of the tracks and stuff? Because some people might even not even know which
Yeah,
tracks you have redid because they kind of get you know
yeah,
Luke
everything
Community's
kind of gets
thousands of songs.
spread up. Yeah, thousands. So yeah, I've done a couple. I intentionally try to structure that page to have these specific kind of songs that are like
Yeah,
multicultural,
yeah.
where they can flow. I've done Glorious Day, the variation by
Hmm.
All Nations,
Okay.
um, Refiner from Maverick City's one, So Will I,
Mm.
originally by why am I spacing? Is that Hillsong? So will I?
I know
I
you're talking
don't
about
know. I'm
a
spacing. Yeah.
billion times. I know the
Yeah,
name.
exactly. Yeah. And then also, yeah, songs along those lines. There are a couple on there. I'm spacing 10,000 Reasons.
Yep. Mm.
Taking some of this stuff, and I'm also trying to venture Nothing But the Blood of Jesus,
Yep.
finding ways to integrate the gospel and also make it more CCM like. So kind of approaching it both ways, gospelizing
Yeah.
the CCM and CCMing the
The
gospel.
gospel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it because it's needed. That's a practical implementation on how we as a community can come together. And because like you said, the a lot of CCM musicians don't play gospel music in their
Right.
churches because of It's so complicated. I'll be
Right.
honest. Our genre, the gospel genre, is the most eclectic
Yeah.
genre on the planet, bar none. Period,
Yep.
no
Point blank.
discussion.
Yep. I
Point
agree.
blank, period, as my wife would say. It is the most eclectic genre. No other genre of music combines multiple
Right.
genres into one. You can have a song that has a rock introduction, an R&B verse,
Yep.
then it goes into a
EDM. You can go to EDM.
EDM chorus, then you got a jazz bridge,
Yep.
and then we'll follow it out with something like Yellow Jacket acid
Yeah.
type,
Right.
you know what I mean, on the vamp, and then
Right.
come back and end it in a CCM way. You know what I'm saying? And that's all in one song.
That's so
That's
dope
all in
though.
that's one
That
song.
right. Like kind of going back to like the if you like even look at like the culture, right? Like
Yep.
taking what you have and working with like what you have, right? Taking what
Hmm.
was like meant to be a disadvantage or something that you aren't familiar with and like pulling something positive out of that. That's all part of
Exactly.
that culture.
It is.
And it's embodied in the music.
It definitely is because we pour our heart and soul in it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that's what makes it so. And the way that a lot of gospel producers and a lot of gospel musicians think is terms out of the box. That's why you have such complicated arrangements. So
Right.
while it's amazing musically for us because we grew up in that culture, like
Right.
when we were and I was telling Matt this wasn't on the stream, but this was like at another thing. When we grew up we were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old playing jazz in church,
Right.
playing,
Right.
all of these complex arrangements. We had to learn it. And
You had to learn
sometimes
it.
you get 45 minutes at a rehearsal to learn this song, this
And then they
multi
don't sing it in the same key.
and they
They'll
don't
change
sing it in
it.
the same key.
And so you got to know how to play it in every key.
Yeah. So it's just it's complicated
Yeah.
to for most CCM musicians and worship leaders that play the music that is more structured, and of course we talk about it a lot, the 1, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
repeat back and forth or what have you, that's
Right.
more centric. Now, lyrically, I don't think anything's
Oh
touching
yeah. Yeah.
CCM. Nothing's
Nothing.
lyrically, nothing's
Super
touching
deep.
CCM. Yeah. So what you've done is what I love is that you've taken the best of both worlds. You give because these songs have amazing lyrical content,
Right.
but a lot of, and we'll just be honest, a lot of gospel musicians choose not to play these songs because of how uninteresting they are musically.
Right.
And so you've been able to find that delicate balance between being musically interesting and lyrically sound
Right.
and bridging those worlds together and making CCM music and making it appeal to both sides.
Right.
So I really think that's amazing. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Nah, it's like even with the whole concept of like loop and loop gospel and was known as gospel
Hmm.
multi tracks and all that.
Yeah,
Finding a need, there's like a need for something, right? There's a need,
right.
and then creating and finding a way to be able to resolve that. Because like I find myself, I worship lead for a predominantly black congregation, and then you
Hmm.
also have the congregation that is predominantly white, and there's kind of
Mm.
like this, you hear the term code switching, but it's
Hmm.
like it can
Hmm.
be draining, man. So you have to like for me, I want to find a way to be able to create an identity that
Yeah,
is true to myself, but
I love it.
all where I'm not giving up, I'm not having to give up. I'm not having
Yeah,
to, there's not this constant pull and pry of like, this is what worship looks like,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah,
I want to
because
feel
it's been
comfortable.
yeah, it's that's kind of the stereotype. This has been white music and this is black music.
Right.
And there hasn't been much that there. And what I love about it is, and one of the things I'm hoping to do in the future is figuring out a way to. And I think you've been working on it as well. And maybe this is something we can even kind of co-work on as we
Yeah,
move
man.
forward. Is figuring out because you have a lot of gospel artists that take CCM songs and re-record them and gospelize them, but you don't see many gospel songs being brought down into a format that
Right.
is better, if for lack of a better word, that's easily digestible. Because we have to be honest, we're used to it and we look at it from a gospel perspective and say, man, bro, that's easy. That's just
Right.
that's flat seven to the six, down to flat five, then you go up to you
Sharp
go up to
five.
the five. Yeah, then you do sharp five. Then you go sharp five, and then you go to the six, back to the flat seven, down to the one. Then you go to the four, up to the
They're
five.
stuck at flat seven. They're stuck at
Yeah,
flat seven. Right.
and we're like, that's easy.
Right.
To us, it's easy. That's easy.
Right.
And they're sitting there with their guitar, like,
Right.
capo. Where's
Right.
my capo?
Please.
You know,
Please. Right.
and it's so I think it's great. Again, I wanted to highlight that because I think that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on and kind of highlight that because I thought that was a special little thing for the community to be open to, open
Right.
their eyes to be open to that. Hey, there are these arrangements on Loop Community
Yeah.
by a producer, gospel producer that has kind of added some sauce, as we say,
Right.
to some of the CCM stuff
Right.
that allows you to use it in your congregation. That can be that for your musicians, especially for the multicultural church, when
Right.
you have multicultural. You have the stage is multicultural. You have black
Right.
musicians. You
Right.
have white praise and worship leaders.
Right.
You have black praise and worship leaders and white musicians.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can utilize these arrangements to be able to kind of spice it up and give everybody something that's musically interesting, because that's a
Right.
part of it. And I think Marvin talked about that in the stream. You got to make it interesting. You know what I
Right.
mean? You got to make it interesting.
Yeah. I shouldn't have to dumb down the way I feel to, you know what I mean? I believe in like playing in pocket, but I also shouldn't have to dumb down what makes me culturally who I am in
Hmm.
order to make everyone around me feel comfortable. And that's what this whole concept's about. And I'm glad you mentioned the whole idea of like, what does that look like to take a
Yeah.
gospel song
And
and
CCMIs it.
Sims CCM it? Because I think that has to, one, you have to be willing to want to receive and be willing to give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing that play out.
Yeah.
You have to be willing and have the mindset to want to even try that. And then
Hmm.
what songs can cater to that? What songs have substance? How can you
Hmm.
revamp a hymn to be able to make it? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, so
Hmm.
I'm glad you hit that. That's a good perspective.
Yep, yep, absolutely. But that I wanted to highlight that portion of it, for those who came on and may not know who you are, because you know what I mean. We have Loop Community is a
A vast.
community, vast community, and it's very multi-ethnic. And even though it's maybe even on this side of the page, we post on the gospel stuff, and then we
Right.
have we call him MJ. He's the overseer
Yeah.
over the Latin side, the Espanol side,
Hmm.
and he kills Latin arrangements over on
Yeah.
that side. And so it's the diversity oftentimes isn't shown,
Wow.
isn't seen. And so we wanted to take today, like Matt said earlier in the stream, we wanted to take today to really highlight that hey, there are great creators in the community,
Yes.
great creators inside of the community that are doing some amazing stuff. Because if for most people don't know, if you scroll up on Loop Community's page, like
Yeah.
if you go past like latest tracks and you go past
Yeah.
latest premiums and you go past patches, there's a
Yeah.
little section down there that says top producers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a little section that says top producers, and on the top producers, about currently about 7 out of the 10 top
Wow.
producers on the site are gospel producers.
Wow. That's crazy.
Seven out of 10 of the top producers on Loop Community are gospel producers.
Awesome.
And and if you don't scroll up, you don't see it. But
Right.
if to know that out of this vast community of
Right.
producers and worship leaders, there are seven guys that are just killing it on
Right.
in the arrangements that they're doing, in the tracks that they're selling to churches and people that
Right.
are buying their stuff and utilizing their stuff on the regular. And so I think that warrants some sort of conversation, some sort of highlighting
Most
of
definitely.
and what I'm saying, of what you do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I want to pose a question to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
When I think we talked about it afterwards, because we wanted to kind of keep with this whole thing and telling stories, because
Yeah.
Marvin said it on the last stream, or Matt said it one about hearing the stories.
Yes.
And so I asked you, I think I asked you a question in text about, has there
Yeah.
ever been any time in your life where you have experienced some sort of injustice or inequality, no matter how big or how small it
Right.
is. I wanted you to be able to share that. I shared a story on the stream earlier
Yeah.
about my. I was in a traffic accident.
Yeah.
A white woman hit me.
Yeah.
She hit me. She came over to my lane and hit me, and um, we called a police officer just to come write the police report.
Yeah.
Standard stuff for the
Right.
insurance. And during the police report, I was sitting on my hood, I was a young man. I was about 22 then.
Right.
Sitting on my hood, and I heard my son in the back seat crying. So I come around the car and open up the back door to see what was going on with him. And so the police officer, who's a white police officer, instantly draws his gun on me at a traffic
Yo.
at a traffic accident that I didn't cause. He draws his gun on me and he just starts going, "Hey, sir, get back over here, get back over, get on the front of the car. Let me see your hands. Let me get." He's going on. He's just going blah, he's going in, and he thought I was reaching for a gun,
Yeah. First
and I'm
instinct.
like, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't, all I could do, at that moment is just say, "Sir, my son is in the back seat. He's crying." And then the white lady who was, who hit me, she grabbed the officer and she said, "Hey," she said, he didn't do anything wrong. I hit him. It's my fault.
Wow.
It's my fault.
Wow. Yeah.
It's my fault. I didn't hit him. He's got a son. He's got a baby in the back seat. Let him check on his baby.
Right.
And so those type things happen.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten all about that story until
Wow.
all of this kind of happened. And my wife reminded me of it. She reminded me of it while
Wow.
we were, just about a week ago, we were sitting down talking. I was like, wow. And so the issue is, what happens is sometimes in our culture, we experience these things so much. It happens so much.
Right.
And
Right.
we
Right.
experience these things that we
You forget.
forget. You just push it out, you just move
Yep.
on. And somebody else would hear that story and go, "Oh my God, wow." And you just like, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
That happened. I'm still here. Thankfully, I wasn't killed or didn't go another way, but
Right.
I'm still here. So I just, because these things happen so much, you just
Right. It becomes part
move
of your
on.
living. That's so
It
interesting.
does.
Like, I never thought about, like, I've been pulled over for, a speeding ticket or traffic, anything. And
Hmm.
and the first thing I think, the first place my brain goes is, where's my wallet? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
where's my wallet? Before this dude walks up, let me get my wallet out.
Put it
Like,
on the dashboard.
let me
Put
do
your hands
this.
right here.
Like, when it comes to, like, that story, the whole aspect of stories, I've been racially profiled. We've all been racially profiled.
Yeah.
Both, even in ministry, you see it operating in ministry. What does good worship look like? What is worship supposed to
Mm,
look like? And how that's thrown on you, especially when you are leading in these different
yeah,
congregations,
absolutely.
or what's expected of you. You're expected to overplay because you're
Yeah,
people of
because you're
color.
African American.
I had a story that just popped up in my head, and we had just got done with the rehearsal, and I went with a couple of friends to go grab some tacos at a taco place.
Mm.
Had it was Taco Tuesday, so we're like, let's go get some tacos. So we went to this restaurant. The first thing, it's me and my good Latin brother of mine, and we immediately went in and we washed our hands,
Hmm.
and we went in to go and wash our hands to before we ate. But we both
Yeah.
went into the restroom to wash our hands. We didn't know that the restroom was like a single person restroom. So we went in, we wash our hands. We see on the wall there's like this picture of Jesus. It's like there's no mirror, but I'm getting somewhere with this.
Okay.
There's a mirror, and there's no mirror, but it's Jesus on the mirror. So we're like,
Okay.
anyways, point is we couldn't see ourselves. So we walk out of the restroom laughing. We wash our hands, we can't see ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're snickering. We come back week after week. We get our tacos, we come back, and we notice that the service is like off. Like,
Yeah.
we're always being treated wrong. It's so I go up and I call the manager.
Wow.
I call in a month later. So, like, I noticed, like, we like, I've been receiving bad service. I should have probably stopped going there, but
Yeah.
we're receiving bad service. And he was like, can you give me your name, blah blah blah. I was like, blah blah blah. He was like, well, what you don't understand is we have you on camera. We got you on tape, and you vandalized
Wow.
our restroom. This
Wow.
is a month later from us actually going. I'm
Wow.
like, yo, something's off. The waiter's always mad. There's
Yeah.
something always weird. And yeah, um, we got you on tape. We have you and a Latino gentleman walking into our restroom and vandalizing our restroom. So I didn't
Wow.
keep in mind I didn't even notice that the wall was vandalized when I walked in. I mean, you
Yeah.
go what restaurant, what taco place do you go to and it isn't?
Yeah.
But
What bathroom do you go
you
to in
go
a
to,
public
yeah,
place that's not just something
right.
like, you know,
So it's in a gentrified area and whatnot. So I go back and I say like I know I didn't do it. I'm not having to run. So I need to meet up with this dude. So I go up. I have a cop come along with me and whatnot. But it goes to show to kind of this dude, this man was so bent on the fact that we had done it
wow.
because of the way we had looked.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the person who previously walked out right before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but because it was two people, we even kept the door open, John. The door was,
Yeah.
kept open with one of our feet. There's no way we could have done it. But was
Right.
still stuck. It was a mentality that said like, you had to have, you had to
Yeah.
have done it,
Yeah.
and I was on the verge of pressing charges for vandalism. Keep in mind, I have
Wow.
nothing on my record, and like, you know what I mean. It's just like a matter
Yeah.
of it's not it's so it's real. We get it.
It's
It's
real.
very real. Yeah.
It's
So
real. It's what they it's that is the personification. Um, yeah. Also, you can't have a camera in the bathroom. That's interesting at that
yeah,
point.
but that's the thing. It
Um,
was right outside. It was right outside. It wasn't in there, but it was right
in there.
outside of the restroom, right outside of the
Wow.
entrance. So as we're
Yeah.
walking out of the restroom, we're laughing. When we see it, we see a picture of Jesus in the mirror.
Yeah.
We're worship leaders. We're gonna laugh about it. We're gonna laugh about certain things. But you
Hmm.
automatically assume and you make that connection, even though the door
That
was
part.
open, that we did
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, that's what they call it's what they call racial profiling.
Right.
And no matter how, minute you may, some people will listen to that story and say, oh, that's not that bad, what happened. But what it is that they have you take that word, you take that phrase and break it down. There's a profile,
Right.
like your profile on
Right.
Facebook, your profile on Instagram. There's a profile, and in that profile, there is information that
Right.
basically says who you are and what you do, and all those different things like that. So, what has happened with our society and in our culture, there has been a default profile that is designated by default to
Yes.
black and brown individuals, more so male than anything. Some females do get those attributions put towards them. There's been cases where females have been
Yep.
racially profiled, but us as black African American men
Right.
we are often, that profile is designed, especially if you fit the bill of being tall. Like I'm
Oh,
six
yes.
one.
Yeah.
I'm tall. I'm a tall black man, but I
Right.
have I have a friend, actually my assistant, that comes in and helps me a few
Yeah.
days out of the week. He's 6'5",
Whew.
six
Yeah.
five, 300 pounds.
Right.
No, 350 somewhere.
Yeah.
Boy is a tall,
Right.
big,
Right.
menacing looking,
Giant.
as we would say, giant. He's a giant. But when you talk to him, he's a teddy bear. I
Wow.
mean, a teddy. He's like, hey, 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 how you doing? How's it going? How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, sweetest young man you ever meet. He's only 20 years old.
Wow.
But people would look at him and they attach this
Right.
default profile on him to say that he must be this, or
Wow. Right.
he must this. If something crazy happened, he did it.
Right.
If there's a situation where we get called in to try to diffuse whatever's going
Right.
on, he's the one that did it.
Wow.
The big one right there.
Right.
I saw something the other day from, I think it was a FBI agent
I did
that
see that.
was
I did watch that.
that
Yeah.
was racially profiled. He was sitting down, black man. He's in plain clothes. He's not on duty.
Right.
He's sitting there in a restaurant, minding his business. He was smoking a cigarette, minding his business. Three police officers approach him,
Right.
and they're saying that you're this person, and he's telling them, I'm not this person. I'm not the person that you're saying that I am. They asked him, who is he this? And he says, no, I'm not. They're insisting
Right.
that
Insisting
you're
that
this
he is.
person.
Right.
And he's like, no, bro, I'm not this person. You're not doing your job right. This is not the way that you approach someone. This is not the way that you make you come to a person, a suspect.
Right.
This is not the way you approach a suspect. You don't approach them automatically assuming that this is who it is when you don't have all the information. If I tell you that I'm not that person, then it is there's a system of reasonable doubt that you must have within yourself to say, okay, maybe this is not the person I'm looking for. Ask
Right.
me for more information. He tried to
Right.
educate them, but they kept egging him on
Insisting.
and then
Right.
insisting. And then eventually they just grabbed him and put him in the cuffs. And he's just going off and he says, okay, wow, wow, wow. He says, reach into my pocket,
Right.
reach into my pocket, reach into my pocket. Go ahead.
Right.
You about to look real stupid. And they reached into his pocket and they pulled it out and they opened up the wallet and they saw the badge. And he says, wow. He says,
Right.
what you got to say now? Wow. What is that? What does that say? What does that look like? You know
Right.
what I mean? And of course there's a lot of explicitives that he said
Right.
that I can't
Exactly.
say on this stream.
Right.
But the purpose and the point of it was that, you know, it's difficult for us to when you live in a society or in a culture that when you're automatically wrong just because of the way that you look,
Right.
you know, and it's like I can't change the way that I look. You
Right.
know,
I can't
this is
change
me.
that.
You know,
Right.
this is me. You know, this is who I am. This is how I was born. I'm no different than you. I'm
Right.
no better than you. You're no better than me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I think it warrants us having these conversations, you know, today during this observance, and our CEO Matt
Yes.
was gracious enough to allow us to utilize the platform
Yes.
in order to address some of these issues and address and tell some of these stories. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Tell some of these stories and really um, open up the community to what is really going on and how your counterparts may feel, even though you haven't shared
Right.
these experiences, even though you may not have had these things to happen to you, but to have a conversation or to hear the story
Right.
behind even see I didn't even know that about you because you know I've never had that deep of a conversation
Right.
to
And
know
there's
that
so
you've
much
experienced that.
more. That's one off the dome. You
Yeah,
can probably, if you were to actually all just sit back and say what has happened, or if you actually, at times you kind of like become numb to it.
you
It just
become numb to it.
it becomes like just the regular thing. Like you find that you operate in a certain way, eh, like just to be like accepted or to even be heard. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's like that's one of many, and that's a small
Hmm.
example. You know what I mean?
It
Yeah.
is, and you become numb to it. I like the way you put it. It's a psychological. I explained this to Matt earlier. It's a psyche thing. It's a psych job. Like,
Right.
and we're almost trained that way because we experience so much of this stuff from birth
Yes.
on up to where once you become an adult male, you have it in your mind. Even if you walk into a situation where the odds are definitely not stacked
Right.
against you,
Right.
nobody sees your color.
Right.
Everybody around you is loving and accepting, and there's no inequality, and there's no judgment, and there's none of that going. There's no evidence pointing to any type of situation. But because you're black, when
Right.
you walk into a situation, you automatically have this self-awareness
Yeah.
of of what's going to happen. Or
Right.
do they really accept me? Do they really see me? Do they really understand? Do they really empathize? Do
Right.
they really understand how scared I am? I shared a story earlier that I live in a very nice neighborhood, a very
Yes.
nice neighborhood, and I'll share. I'll be totally transparent right
Yes.
now. I am just for me to be able to
Yes.
say that I live in a neighborhood where the houses are plus 500K.
Right.
They're plus five. I live right off of a lake. There's a lake behind my
Right.
house. Beautiful house. But as a black man, I honestly feel as though I am not entitled to that
Yes.
because of my
Wow.
experience,
That is so dope.
because of the experiences that I've had, because of the way the system has, like
Right.
the job that the system has done on my mind.
Right.
I am automatically predisposed to feel like, as hard as I work,
It's
as
hard.
hard as I
Right.
work on it. as hard as I work, as much money as I make, as much as I do, as many businesses that I have,
Right.
um, I feel unentitled. I don't want my kids to go outside in the neighborhood and play. You
Wow.
know what I'm saying?
Right. For
I'm
their
afraid.
safety. Right.
I'm afraid for their safety. My wife, can you come stay with me? My wife took the kids to the pool yesterday, and this shows the unconsciousness of it.
Right.
When she's getting the kids together and they're walking out the door, um, instead of saying, "Okay, bye, have a nice time," my initial response is, "Be careful."
Wow.
It's not just bye; it's bye and be careful.
Right.
Because we live, I don't
That's
feel like we belong here.
wow.
And
Yeah.
I don't take walks through my neighborhood. And I know those are things, those are psychosomatic issues
Yeah,
that
man.
as a human being you have to work through, and you have to walk out of, and you have to accept it for yourself. But because of the viewpoint of society,
Right.
that has been imbued on me, I feel as though I am not entitled to take a walk through my neighborhood.
Wow. That is so
I
crazy.
drive, and I see people walking down the neighborhood, walking their dog, couples walking hand in hand. And I
Yeah.
think to myself, like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not
Wow.
supposed to, what could happen to me if I
Right.
walk? What if somebody sees me and there's somebody out there that is very,
Right.
um, very racist, and
Right.
they see me and they think I don't belong here, and they affirm what I already feel is
I
that I
get
don't
it, man.
belong here. They affirm it, and and something crazy happens, and then next thing you know, I'm the next person on a
Statist.
t-shirt.
You're the next
I'm the next
hashtag.
person. I'm the next hashtag. I'm the next person they're
Yo.
spray painting on graffiti on the walls. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's a sad reality, because I know Matt asked, he asked a great question earlier of like, how can they as a community, as Caucasians, as worship leaders, as people on the other side, how
Yeah.
can they make us feel more comfortable? How can they make us feel more inclusive
Yeah.
in that thing? And I told him, I said, well, it's a great thing. I wish I could give you a 12-step
Yeah.
program to
Right.
making your black friends feel comfortable.
Right.
But the sad reality is that it's everybody's experience is going to be different. Everybody that you
Right.
talk, because you have people. I think not Matt, but Marvin mentioned it in the last stream,
Yeah.
that you have people that grow up and they never experience that. They never experience the racial
Right.
inequality. They grow up around great people. They're black kids that are raised by white parents,
Right.
or you know what I mean. And so they never have seen or experienced that level of inequality. And so
Right.
like Marvin said, it only happens through relationships. So you because of that, you can't really I can't really give you a step that's going to a cookie cutter approach
Right.
that's going to work for every one of your people, because that's going to depend on each person. But I think how Marvin said it, it's done through relationship. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The more time you spend with a person, the less color we see. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? The less color we see. When you become my bro, I'm not thinking about all of that
Right.
stuff. You know.
Or just like you said something like relationship and acknowledging like this is what it is.
Hmm.
When we can open from both perspectives and say that like you are black and I love you.
Hmm.
Not because you're black, but I don't like I love the fact that you are the way you are. And
Yeah.
being black contributes to that and embracing that. It's not that I necessarily love you because you are black or I'm
Yeah.
looking or I have black friends or like I it's none of that. It's more along the
Yeah.
lines of relationship. Like
Relationship.
I love what you contribute to my life and your culture adds so much to this. And
Mm,
I want to get to know you as a person. And that goes
absolutely.
both ways, but we're seeing the importance of what one perspective can do to like
Hmm.
damage the view of many people. And what we're saying is
Absolutely.
it's not that the other perspectives are diminished. It's this is the
Mm,
perspective that matters most right now. We are
I
seeing
love
this
it.
perspective that is this is what matters right now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
man.
love it, man. I love it. I love it, man. I
Wow,
really do. That's it's and I think it warrants having these conversations. It really
for
does, man.
sure.
To explore, and I love that we're getting the opportunity to have it in
Yes.
this public forum to
Yeah.
African American man. You know,
Yes.
to African American men having conversation
Right.
about their experience because your experience is different than mine.
Yes.
My experience is different, but the thing that we share is that common thread that goes
Right.
between that we have experienced the injustice. We
Right.
have experienced the inequality. We have
Right.
experienced those things. We have experienced those things, and you get them in packets and you get them in doses
Mhm.
throughout your experience to the point where you just become numb to it. Like I said, I didn't even think the gun drawn on me. That was 15 years ago.
Wow.
So much has happened. So much other stuff has happened
Right.
in that 15 years that, yeah, so much has happened in that 15 years that it does not, it's something that was filed. It was put back in the file. It
Right. The
happened.
archive.
Yeah, and I just said, all right, well, you'll just take that and just put it back here with
Right.
everything else that's happened.
Wow.
And you live your life. Don't get me wrong. We don't we don't we're not it's not a conscious fear.
Right.
It's not a everyday, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my
Right.
God, oh my God, but it is a systematic, deep rooted
Right.
psychological
Systematic.
fear. Yeah.
You see, I think many people have seen the photo, the video where they did an experiment, and the they had the children looking at dolls, the doll experiment.
Yeah,
I
I've seen it.
forgot
Yeah.
the exact name of the experiment, but it might just
What
be
you
the
talking
doll
about?
experiment. But that's a psychological thing. That and like you said, systematic. That means it can be learned. If it's
Mm,
systematic, it can be learned. This isn't babies aren't popping out of the womb feeling a little
no.
racist today. No, it's this is a system, right? It has
Yeah.
to be learned. We're talking
It's a learned behavior.
centuries of this being learned. We have to be willing to take that back and say, this is the reality. Like you said, it's
Yes.
a subconscious thing. It's not like like you said, I'm not walking out like, oh, am I gonna die today? No, it's like it it cripples the way you move and the way you think
It
based
does.
off of years. Like you say, I gotta bring my wallet when I'm going on this walk because I
You
don't want to.
got to. Yeah.
What if I get pulled over while I'm doing this walk? And
Yeah.
this and I have like a similar scenario where it's like you're growing, you're succeeding, you're accomplishing, and you
Hmm.
see this. You're everything around you is different.
Hmm.
Everything around you is different. So you hit it dead on. It's in the back of your mind. It kind of just
Hmm.
like guides you, like pushes you, nudges you this way, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's so
it's
good.
that learn, like you said, it's learned behavior, and it's all based on our experience, the experience that we have um, from day to day in things
Right,
that we've done. Like Marvin said, it's crazy that we have you have files of
yeah,
this stuff, and when you have, and so here's a little nugget just kind of came to me when you say we file it. So you look at your brain as a computer, it has
yeah,
files on it, has files on it. And so when you have enough files coming together, you have an operating system.
right.
You know what I mean? And when you have in your operating system
Come on,
is it gives you all of the rules on how you function. And
right,
there's a lot of things that run in the background.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
There's applications and there's processes that run in the background on that keep the computer and the operating system running. And
right.
so what happens is we get a lot of corrupt files downloaded into our
Wow,
system. We get a
yeah,
lot
man,
of viruses downloaded into our system that creates processes that go on in the back of our mind. You know what I mean? That run in
right,
the background. These applications that
right,
run in the background that teach that give us the rules on how we should function, how we should
right,
operate. So the violence in the things that we don't in no way condone all of the violent stuff
right,
that's
right.
going
Yeah,
on. That there should be no reason that anybody should be tearing up your city,
right,
burning down businesses,
right,
doing all of this crazy stuff.
right,
I'm definitely not on the train and on the board that you should be doing that. But what happens is when these situations, when you see this stuff happen, it's
Right.
because these people have had enough of the corrupt files
Files.
being
Right.
downloaded into their subconscious. It's
Right.
being downloaded. They've got too many corrupt files that's just corrupting their operating system, and now
Right.
they don't know how to do anything but just the whole system breaks down.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Shuts down. Right. Wow,
You know what I
man.
mean?
Such a good
And
analogy.
so we have to clean the hard drive.
Right.
That's a personal thing.
Right.
That's a personal thing that all of us have to do, whether you're black, whether you're white,
Right.
because even all of us have had these files put into our operating system.
Right.
That are teaching us these applications that are running in the
That you
background,
don't
and we
see. Exactly. You
that you
don't
don't
see
see,
it. That's the
that you
main
don't
thing of what
know.
you said. You don't see it. Right.
You don't see it. You don't see it. It's just running in the background. Racism is running in the background. You know what I
Right.
mean? Racial inequality, injustice. The guy Derek Chauvin, when he's putting his knee on the guy's neck,
Right.
it's a program running. There's
Right.
something running in the background. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
There's a program running that's telling this operating system that this is
Right.
what we're doing right now.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it comes from a history of these files that were in these programs and these
Yes. Over and over.
applications that were
Yes.
installed on his drive
Right.
during his life, if you
Right.
want to put it that way. And so it's just that's just what it is. So change has to come from cleaning the drive. It's
Right.
got to come through relationship.
Right.
Um, like Marvin so adequately put
Right.
in the chat earlier. It's gotta come from those things. It's gotta come from these conversations, because this conversation right now is cleaning off some viruses on people's
Right.
computers.
Exactly.
This conversation right now is closing some programs that are running in the
Right.
background on
Yes.
somebody's computer. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so that's the goal um, for us to do. But man, this has been an amazing
Yo, this
conversation,
has
bro.
been great. Thank you so much for this. Just like you said, it's all starting with that process of being open. First, you got to want to clean, and then
Hmm.
because we're seeing it, it's all surfacing. Everything is surfacing, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
You use that analogy like the virus is surfacing.
Yeah.
It's like
You
it's
have it's
here.
versatile. And see, even right now, I'm trying to clean my computer, clean some files off my
Yeah,
computer. I think that's one of the reasons why that analogy popped up, because I'm actually
yeah,
like actively in between this, cleaning off some files off my computer that are there, because my space is getting low and I'm trying to clean some files off. So you have to be intentional. You have to open up your computer,
right,
open up the drive, and you have to find those files
right,
that don't belong there, that you're done with, the stuff that you're done with that's running on your computer,
right.
that's clogging up your space,
You're
that
gonna get
doesn't need to
full of
be
it
there.
one day.
Yeah,
You're gonna get
you got
full
to
of it.
get full,
You're gonna
and
get
you got to
full.
find those files, delete them, empty the trash, and start working on the new stuff. And I
Right.
think that's what we're doing here.
That's
That's
so
what we're
awesome,
doing
man.
here.
That's what this is all
So, man,
about.
I appreciate your time, man.
Thank
Give the
you, man.
people some information on how they can connect with you. They can connect with your tracks on Loop Community, how they can find them, and all that good stuff like that.
Yes, yes. Loop Community, Aaron Daniels music. Like John said, you could scroll the producers, you could look and find Aaron Daniels music, and then there's also Bind the Gap.
Yeah, because you're
Bind
on
the
there
Gap.
twice. That's the crazy part about it. You're Aaron is so cold. Aaron is so cold. The fact that he's on the top 10
Stop,
producers list
stop,
2 times. He's on there
stop,
as
man.
himself, and he's on there as Bind the Gap. So he's made contributor history even in that
Get
standpoint.
out,
Out of
man.
all of the producers on Loop Community, he's the only guy that's on there twice on the top 10 consistently every month. So yeah, absolutely, man. I
Thank you. It's a
appreciate you guys.
blessing. Thank you so much.
You guys check out Aaron. Check out his tracks. Check if you're looking for some great cross cultural stuff. Check out Bind the Gap. He's got a growing library of tracks. He's adding them in he's like a machine. He's adding these things in every week, and he's just killing the game in my opinion. And I love having him a part of our team on the Loop Gospel side.
Thanks,
And
man.
so give us about 10 more minutes. I'm going to be live with a handful of more contributors, a handful of more of our gospel producers. I want them to share their stories. I want them to tell you guys about their experiences. I want them to also share with you about their tracks and what they're doing. And we want to highlight them. We want to
Yes,
honor them today. We
yes,
want to give them some screen time to where you guys in the community can see uh, our culture, and
Right.
how we represent our Loop community.
Wow,
All
that's
right.
so
We
awesome.
appreciate you guys. I
Thank you,
appreciate you, Aaron. Thank you, Matt, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
And we'll
Yes.
talk to you guys later. Peace.
Right.